he says, what should I wear? And I said, well, you can wear any of those four, or you can wear this. And I pulled out the suit, the FU suit. And he said, that's just a basic pinstripe. And I said, no, look closely. And he looked, give me that suit, grabbed it from me, and we put it on him. And he was so excited. This is the greatest suit ever. I can't believe it. This is great. He came out on stage. Dana White introduced him, and he said, God, I'm so happy to be here. I've worked so hard to get to this point, and I really appreciate all of my fans and everybody in the UFC. And by the way, how do I look? And then he said, look, if you look closely at my pinstripes and my suit, you'll see exactly how I feel about Floyd Mayweather and his team. And everybody kind of laughed a little bit. The Jumbotron, the camera zoomed in on his suit, and it was up on the Jumbotron, and you could read, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, in the pinstripe, and the place went nuts.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, we are in the studio here in downtown San Diego, and we got a little audience. We got two of my favorite folks, the Bomarito brothers, and I got a special guest. I got arguably the world's most famous fashion tailor. He dresses all the celebrities, all the movie stars. He's got a deal with Conor McGregor. I got my man, David August. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you you taking the time, and I appreciate the gift that you just gave me. Nice little gift with your Conor McGregor line.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got the pinstripe tie and
That's
the
right.
underwear that Conor wore for his face-off here in LA back, 2017, I want to say?
2017.
Floyd
Yep.
Mayweather, and
That's
it says,
right.
fuck you, in
Yeah.
pinstripes. There's
The
about
pinstripes.
1,000 of them.
Yeah.
You just told me the story before we started recording of how that came to fruition. Super crazy. I mean, just getting those on the freaking ties. No one wanted to do it for you, but shout out to Conor, man. He's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC.
Fashion icon now, too.
Yeah, he's
great,
fighting his last fight. In June out
That's
in
right.
Las Vegas. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna miss that one, so we'll see. But man, we got another tie. Speaking of ties, I was actually sailing the Greek islands a year and a half ago, all the way from Mykonos down to Turkey, and with your brother,
That's
Duane.
right.
Shout out to Duane Hall. We love Duane.
Duane is an amazing guy.
Yeah, 50-foot sailboat. He bought that thing, what, 3 years ago?
No, I think it's like 5 years ago.
5 years now?
Yeah,
Wow.
5 years ago.
But what an incredible guy, man! Just sailing the Greek islands, all over Eastern Italy, Europe, and wow, yeah, good times out there.
Left with a backpack from here, flew to Greece and went to the boat show, then went to Turkey boat show and bought a boat.
That's
and
right.
He's been on it ever since.
Yeah. Shout out to Duane. We love him.
Yep.
But anyways, man, I want to jump into your story, man. You got a hell of a story. You're working with all these big names out here. How did you get into fashion to begin with?
You know, I was never formally trained. I just loved fashion growing up. I loved dressing nicely, and I always dressed in high school, and I went to college, and when I got out of college, I came back, and I always worked in my family business from a early age. My brother and I both did. And I have 2 older sisters and 1 younger brother. And we worked with my dad's construction company. He had a development company and a construction company. We had a financial institution. We had some hotels and restaurants and, kind of a mixed bag. And we grew up in the family business. And when I went to college, I came back home and was talking to my father, and he said, so what do you want to do? You want to work in finance? You want to work in construction? You want to work in the hotels? You want to work in restaurants? What do you want to do? And I said, God, Dad, I think I want to open a clothing store. And he said, looks at me and he goes, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You need to go talk to my tailor. And so I went and talked to his tailor that was making suits for him, Gehry.
Mm-hmm.
Went and had lunch with Gehry at one of my dad's hotels in Anaheim, and came out of that meeting with Gehry, working for Gehry. And I said, Dad, I'm going to work with Gehry. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So I was trained by his tailor. And my dad invested with his tailor, ended up losing all his money, but it was a good education for me. And I ended up going off on my own and starting my own company a few years after that with a couple guys that I met in that organization. And we started a company called Rickey and Co.
Okay.
And we worked out of my car originally, and then got a showroom in Costa Mesa, right next to the Performing Arts Center here in Orange County, and then grew very quickly. And we started making clothing for Rick Dees. He used to be he's a DJ, and Coach Charlie Wright. And they started a program. There was the Athlete of the Week award, and they'd give out a custom hand-tailored suit to the top athlete of the week. And we got Pat Riley and Bo Jackson and Chris McCarron, the jockey, and Wayne Gretzky. And we started meeting all these people. And then we became the official clothiers for the NFL Coaches Club, which is all the coaches in the NFL. We dressed every coach in the NFL. They in turn invited us into their training camps, and we met all the players, and that's how it just exploded.
Wow. What was the one thing that you learned from Gehry that you're using today?
Prepare people for an emotional situation while they're in a rational state of mind. In other words, when you're talking to people, let them know in advance, hey, this is how this is going to fit when you put it on, so there's no surprises. And that I use that every day in my entire life. I always try to prepare people for an emotional situation while they're still in a rational state of mind, and it makes everything run very smoothly. So I think from that point in my life, training with Gehry, I learned my father really gave us the work ethic. But Gehry, working with Gehry, seeing how hard that guy worked and seeing people and traveling, and I took multiple trips to Europe, learning about fabric making and quality tie making in Italy and Huddersfield, England. And I knew from an early age that work ethic, and I looked at Gary's work ethic and I kind of mimicked that, and it really has paid off.
Yeah. So I know yesterday you dressed Calvin Klein. What is that like? What's Calvin like?
He's a great guy. That's kind of a funny story how I met Calvin. I have a really great client in New York that's buddies with Calvin, and super dapper guy. He's one of the best dressed guys on the planet, I think, my buddy back there. And he is out to dinner with Calvin quite often. And every time he sees Calvin, Calvin says, God, that's a great looking outfit. Who makes that? And he goes, oh, my guy in LA, David. Oh, yeah, that's great. And Calvin has all his clothing made in Europe, at Huddersfield, England. Not Huddersfield, England, in Savile Row in England. And so he's been going back and forth doing fittings. And every time he sees his friend in New York, he says, what a great outfit. And it turns out, he says, listen, I need to switch going to England for my clothing all the time. I want to start doing something here. So I need this guy's number. So he calls my office one day. My assistant calls me, and I was in Vegas seeing some people. And she said, I'm not sure if we're being punked, but Calvin Klein just called. He wants you to call him. I said, oh, okay, good. Did he leave his number? Yeah, here's his cell number. So called him back. He answers the phone. Hello. And I said, hey, Calvin, this is David from David August. Oh, thank you so much for calling me back, David. My friend you dress, he's the most impeccable dresser. I really need some help on my wardrobe, and I would love to meet with you. And I said, yeah, great, let's do it. I said, don't you live in New York? And he said, well, I live in New York, I live in the Hamptons, and I have a home in Beverly Hills also. So I'm out in LA quite often. So I met him at his home and fit him, and I've been making clothing for him ever since for the last few years.
Yeah.
Saw him yesterday again. Great guy.
Yeah, good dude, huh?
Yeah.
So is Gehry still around to see all your success now?
You know what? I've lost touch with Gehry several years ago. I don't even know if he's in the same business or if he's retired now. I really don't know, but what a great guy. He started off in the book sale. He used to be a Bible book salesman at a college for English American, which is they own the custom shirt shop years ago, which is now no longer around. But Gehry started selling books, Bible books, door to door out of college. And he would recruit these college students to help him sell books in the Midwest. And so he became this great sales guy, and he just applied that to clothing and learned to be a tailor. And he started, working with some great people, and he happened to meet my dad one day, and he started making clothing for my father, and that's how we met.
As a busy real estate investor or entrepreneur, time is money and first impression is everything. Every day to make it easy on myself, I wear Built Basics clothing. Whether you're a girl or guy looking for workout gear, joggers, shirts, button-downs, hats, or shoes, Built's got you covered. Super comfortable, tight in all the right places to make you look fresh and clean all the time. Visit BuiltBasics.com and use promo code SUMMERS20 to receive 20% off of your order. Again, that's BuiltBasics.com. That's BYLT Basics.com. Use promo code SUMMERS20 to receive 20% off of your order. Now back to the show.
How much do you think of, with today, and we got social media and everything is into the brand, especially the personal brand. You even see Louis Vuitton doing deals with folks like LeBron James. How important do you think the personal brand is in terms of partnering with these personal names for all these fashion companies? How important is that?
Well, I think personal branding is that's my mantra every day. I always try to educate people on building their personal brand, because I think it is so important in everyone's lives nowadays. And I think collaborating with people that can help you build your brand and also complement their brand is what you want to do. And finding the right person or the right group of guys that you're collaborating with is very difficult. But I think it's very important, and that's how these major brands have grown so quickly, by doing a personal brand collaboration.
Yeah. And so speaking of personal brand, you have a deal with Conor McGregor.
Yep.
August McGregor.
August McGregor.
How did the whole thing with Conor come to fruition? You mentioned Dana White early on. I
Yeah,
mean,
Dana
I
White.
want to know.
Well, what happened was I was doing an Iron Man movie, and Mickey Rourke was in the Iron Man 2. And so I started making clothing for Mickey Rourke at the time, which we all know is a crazy wild guy. Go Mickey. And so he said that one day he called me and he said, hey, listen, I want you to make a suit for a buddy of mine, Dana White. And I said, okay, great. And he says, but he said, when he introduced Dana to me, Dana said, oh, look, I wear Tom Ford. And I mentioned, I love Tom Ford. He does a great, great job. Everybody knows loves Tom Ford. But he says, I wear Tom Ford. And Mickey said, you know what? Fuck Tom Ford. And so he says, this guy's the guy. You need to have him make you a suit. So anyway, I ended up meeting Dana White and made him a suit. Loved it. I was at his office at UFC office in Vegas one day, and I was delivering some clothing to Dana. And he said, hey, I wanted to introduce you to my partner, Lorenzo. So he steps into a meeting. He calls Lorenzo out. Lorenzo comes out and says, yeah, what's up? And he said, this is David. This is the guy I was telling you about that makes my clothing. And he says, I was telling him this one that Mickey introduced me to. And I told Mickey we wore Tom Ford, and they said, they both at the same time said, fuck Tom Ford. And so it was kind of a funny thing. They were just making a joke with Mickey. And so he said, let's make some clothes. So I started making clothing for Lorenzo, and what a great guy. He's like, he's a dapper, very, very well-dressed man. So, and he loves and he really appreciates fashion. So over the time of me getting to know Lorenzo and Dana, they said, hey, listen, we have a new fighter coming in, and he thinks he's a super great dresser, and we'd like you to come out and show him how to really dress. And so we're going to be in a meeting with him and his agent in Vegas, and could you come out? And I said, yeah, sure. So I came out, and it was Dana White and Lorenzo and Audiatar, which is Conor's agent and friend, Conor, and myself. And they brought me in, and they said, and Conor jumps up and says, oh, is this the tailor? Is this the guy? And so we met, and I measured Conor that day, and he was just getting ready for his first fight in a few weeks. And so he wanted to get a wardrobe for his press conference, his press tour. So it was coming up. And so we had to turn it around very quickly, which we did. And that's how I met Conor. And we started ever since that first round of clothing. We've been good friends, and we've built this great relationship and friendship. And we've always talked about doing something together. And we decided, hey, let's do this. Let's do a brand that gives back to his fan base. He has about a 50 million fan base following, I believe, in all his social media. And so we created this August McGregor collection that is an affordable way to get a piece of Conor and dress like Conor.
I'm excited to try the underwear, man. I'm gonna try it tonight.
It'll be honestly, it's the most comfortable underwear. It's amazing. Everybody loves the underwear.
Dude, I love that. It's funny because when you met Conor, I mean, yeah, he was a big name coming out of, I think it was Cage Warriors at the time. He was like a two division champ, and he was young, but like, I mean, did you even fathom that he would become the name that he is today?
Had no idea. He is the only one that really had the idea.
Yeah.
He says that, so I was reading an article the other day that somebody sent me that he was talking about fashion, and they asked him if he had ever made any mistakes in dressing that he regretted. And he said, no. He says, I look good in everything. And so that's Conor McGregor's attitude, So he says, I'm fearless. And he really is. He's fearless in what he does. He's amazing. Even if everyone doubts him, he never doubts himself.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at all the UFC fighters out there, I mean, Conor's done the best at building the brand. He's charismatic, a very likable guy, always says the right things, and people pop off at him, he'll pop right back.
Yeah, even if he doesn't say the right thing, it becomes the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the moment, it might be like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. But after the fact, people still, they draw the attention to him because of that.
But in terms of like, really capturing the moment, monetizing the brand, I mean, he no one's done it better than him in the history of the fight game.
That's right. And he continues, even though he hasn't fought recently.
He's still in the news.
If he fights again, are you going to go see him?
I'm going.
That's exactly
right. It might be
so
his last fight ever.
Everybody tunes in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you
will you be there?
Yeah, I'm going to be there. You can be in the locker room.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it. So he's monetized the brand. I mean, he hasn't fought in a while, but he's still top of mind, top of news. He's still making money. He's got proper 12 whiskey. He's doing deals with folks like you. I'm curious. So the Floyd Mayweather thing, that was the biggest fight in the history of all boxing. You got the number
Incredible.
one pound for pound UFC fighter and the number one pound for pound boxer in the world going at it for the first time ever. And they got this big marketing tour. LA, Toronto, I believe it was New York and London.
New York, London.
And
that's right.
and
4
this
stops.
is before or after you guys had your deal, your
This
partnership?
is we'd been talking about it, but we had not announced it yet. And so we'd been talking about it for like, a year and a half, kind of getting it organized. And then we were about ready to launch right before that. So the tour happened before our launch of August McGregor.
Yeah.
But it kind of coincided, got it together, and it just happened along the way.
Yeah. And so the one that popped off was that first tour here in LA.
That's
and
right.
Conor rolled up and did the face-off with Floyd. It was on TV. It was all over ESPN, Sports Center.
Big deal.
But the tie said, fuck you.
Yeah.
and
Well, it
all
wasn't the tie. It
friends.
was actually the whole suit.
Oh, it was the whole suit.
The entire suit.
It was
Yeah, it
navy
wasn't
blue,
the
right?
tie.
Yep.
What happened was, you want me to start on tell you the story
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how
I'd love
that
to- I'd
came
love to
about?
hear it. I'd
Because
love to hear it.
what happened was, my relationship with Conor, he's always saying, fuck you, and it's pretty funny. And so I was at a fabric supplier back in New York from Europe, but they have an office in New York. And I was in the office one day, and years ago we used to make suits with people's names woven into the suit. Wasn't a big, a big thing because a lot of people don't want to put their name in the suit, but it was available, and a very expensive way of, bringing out your own personality, whatever. So hadn't done it for years, haven't seen it for years, but I was in this office and I saw an old advertisement that had the name woven in the suit. And I asked my associate at the fabric supplier, I said, hey, do you guys still do these suits? And they said, she looked up and she said, yeah, I think so. Let me go check. So she takes the fabric, the card in the back, comes back. Yeah, we do this. I said, I want to order some. So she sat down with her order pad and I picked out a couple colorways. I'll take a navy with gray. I'll take the light gray with the charcoal gray. I'll take whatever. And so she said, okay, great. And she's ready to go. She says, okay, what do you want it to say? And I said, you can put anything in here I want, right? She said, you can put anything you want. I said, okay, I want it to say, fuck you, space, fuck you, space, fuck you, space, over and over again in the pinstripes. She started laughing. She said, no, really, what do you want it to say? And I said, no, that's what I wanted to say. And so she laughed a little bit and asked me one more time. And I said, yeah, that's what I want to do. And so she said, okay, let's do it. And so ordered those. Time went by, a few months. This fight was coming up, and I was thinking this would be the perfect suit for him to launch and go out in. And I wanted to kind of surprise him. It was really more of a joke,
Yeah.
That we had together, but I never told him about it ever. And so it came close to the fight. I called, and they said, hey, listen, I was dreading this phone call. The fabric supplier said I was dreading this phone call. We can't make the suit. The mill won't weave it. It's the phrase is too vulgar, and so we can't do it. And I'm like, you're kidding me. Come on, go back at him again. Tell him we have to have this. She tried. She came back and said, they won't do it. So I'm on a mission. I go to all my fabric suppliers, Laura Piana, Dorme, Skibal. Okay, guys, I'm giving you guys plugs right now. But anyway, Laura Piana, Skibal, all the top fabric suppliers, and asked them to do this for me. And they all came back with the same response a couple days later, each time saying, hey, the mill won't do it.
Well, why are they afraid to do it? I'm just curious.
You know what? I just think they didn't want to attach their name to something vulgar, but I think, look, that phrase, people say it every day in loving and in aggravation and whatever it might be, but it's a very common phrase. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. They obviously didn't want to tie their name to it. So what I found out along the way when I started getting these responses, these same responses, I thought, no, there's only one mill that is doing this because they're all giving the same response. So we got to just get to the mill's president or the guy running the place, the owner, and let's get this thing done. So I ended up calling one of my last fabric suppliers that I had contacted, which are good friends of ours, Herbert Gladson. And I spoke to my contact there. And I said, hey, listen, you got to get this thing done for me. You're probably going to have a no response, but I really need you to get it done. Here's what I want. The fabric, when you weave the name in the fabric, he said, yeah, we do that. We haven't done it for a long time, but what do you want? And I said, I want it to say, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. He obviously started laughing. He said, no, really, what do you want it to do? I said, that's what I want. But the mill keeps on saying no, so I need you to get it done. He came back to me and said, okay, look, what's this for? And I said, it's just for personal use for myself. And he said, okay, fine. He goes, look, I'm going to get it done for you, but you can only have one colorway. What do you want? And I picked out the navy with the gray pinstripe, something very classic. And it's one of those things when it's woven up, you don't see it. It just looks like a navy with a gray pinstripe. And then once you see it and you see what it says, you can't unsee it. And so it's one of those things, it's kind of a cool, it's very easy to wear, but now so many people know about the suit, it's very popular. So that's one of the other aspects of it. But anyway, what ended up happening, made the suit. I brought it to the very first press conference fitting. It was up in LA and he was going to have the first press conference that day. at Staples Center with Floyd Mayweather announcing the big fight. And so I brought 4 suits, one for that press conference, one for the one in Toronto next, one for New York next, and then one for London. Loved every one of them. Plaid suits like he always wears, really hot. Every look was great. And I said, look, he says, what should I wear? And I said, well, you can wear any of those 4, or you can wear this. And I pulled out the suit, the FU suit. And he said, that's just a basic pinstripe. And I said, no, look closely. And he looked, give me that suit, grabbed it from me, and we put it on him. And he was so excited. This is the greatest suit ever. I can't believe it. This is great. When should I wear it? And so we talked about it a little bit, and we said, look, if you're going to wear it, you got to wear it today.
Make the statement.
Make a statement. Come out strong right now. Let's go. So we got him dressed right there. Got him dressed, tied his tie, put the pocket square in, flower lapel pin, boom. Got in the rollers from the hotel, drove over to Staples Center, drove into Staples Center. He came out on stage. Dana White introduced him, and he said, God, I'm so happy to be here. I've worked so hard to get to this point, and I really appreciate all of my fans and everybody in the UFC. And by the way, how do I look? I think I look pretty effing good. And then he said, look, if you look closely at my pinstripes and my suit, you'll see exactly how I feel about Floyd Mayweather and his team. And everybody kind of laughed a little bit. And then the Jumbotron, the camera zoomed in on his suit, and it was up on the Jumbotron, and you could read, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, in the pinstripe, and the place went nuts. And so...
And that was when it was born.
That's when it was born. There you go. And it just, it went, I never knew what viral meant until that happened. And we had over 6 billion impressions on the internet on that one suit. It just blew up. It's crazy.
It's funny because were you thinking like from a marketing standpoint, or were you just thinking,
No,
I'm going to do this?
Not at all.
This is as a friend for Connor.
Never crossed my mind
thing.
once.
Wow.
Never crossed my mind. I didn't think he was even going to wear it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone would wear that suit. And now people are dying. We actually re-released it in 2 limited editions and sold out immediately overnight on both those. And we've only made it for a handful of people.
What did Herbert Gladson say after it went viral?
Here's exactly what happened. After I saw the reaction in the stadium, I went outside and I called Guy from Herbert Gladson. I said, Guy, how you doing? He's like, hey, what's up? And I said, you know that suit you made me with the FU in the fabric? He goes, oh, yeah. And I said, I've got a exclusive on that, right? And he goes, yeah, of course. He goes, no one's going to wear that suit. We're not going to make it for anybody. No one's going to ever want to wear that suit. I go, okay, great. Because tomorrow morning when you wake up, you might have a change of heart, and I just want to make sure that I have an exclusive. And he goes, yeah, you've got an exclusive. Hang up. Next morning, early a.m., I got a phone call from New York. It's Guy. David, what the hell are you doing? I can't believe it. You didn't tell me that suit was for Conor McGregor. And I said, he goes, you said it was for a friend of yours. And I said, yeah, he's my friend. And he's like, oh my God. He goes, I said, look, I have an exclusive on that, right? And they said, I can't give you an exclusive because we are getting lit up on this thing. Everybody wants that suit. And I said, Guy, here's the deal. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business. It's your business. But I said, look, if you make a promise to me or I make a promise to you, you got to keep that promise. And I said, if you decide not to make that promise, I'm going to have a tough time doing business with you in the future, possibly. So he said, I can't believe you do that. This is a big deal. I made this concession for you. I made the suit for you. And now you're telling me I can't sell it. I said, look, I think you should think about it and let me know what you want to do. So he said, okay, I'll call you back. And like 10 minutes later, he called me back. He said, you got an exclusive.
I love that.
Yeah.
He did the right thing there.
Yeah, did the right thing. A lot of people try to copy it, by the way.
Yeah.
People try to knock it off all the time. But no, there's only one original. That's how it is. In
it's
anything.
So good. Well, I'm excited I got the tie.
Yeah,
I'm going to rock
you got the
that
tie,
sometime.
you got the underwear, and I also gave you a pair of boy shorts for your girl.
Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm curious. So I think it was like stop 3 of the tour in New York. That was a completely different off-the-wall type of outfit. I mean, it was like some fur coat, some pink pants with all sorts of different designs going on.
What happened?
Chest hanging out, tattoos. What happened there?
That day, what happened was we made him one of the plaid suits, and he was supposed to wear that. And my assistant that I sent on the tour with him calls me in the morning and says, Connor is out on the street shopping. And I go, what do you mean? He's barefoot, walking down the streets, shopping. And I said, oh my God, okay, what's he trying to do? He's going into Gucci. He went into Gucci, and he was looking for something crazy, and he put on this fur coat. It was a Gucci fur coat that he wore that day. But how he got to that point was he FaceTimes me and says, what do you think about this? I want to do something crazy. And I wear a fur coat just like Muhammad Ali had worn, or no, Joe Namath had worn. Joe Namath had worn years ago. And so I said, okay, well, look, if you're going to do that, you got to do something fun. So we had made him this floral pant, And he said, what shirt should I wear with it? And I said, you shouldn't wear any shirt. You should wear the pant, a pair of cool loafers, the fur coat.
I love that.
And so that's what he did. And he came out, he rocked that. So he had a David August floral pant. He had no shirt on, pair of Gucci loafers, and a Gucci fur coat.
That was so
That's
good.
what it was.
Yeah,
It was
so
cool.
good.
It was great.
That's like a very viral like GIF now.
That's
Like
great. Yeah, exactly.
We use it with
right.
the team sometimes. It's
Super
so funny.
fun. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's good. And so then I'm curious, how did the whole partnership even come to fruition? Because at the time you didn't have it, and then now the press conference is going out, it's happening. And during this press conference tour, you guys knew it was about to happen. Did you
Right.
already like agree to all the terms and what it's going to look like? Or
Yes,
how
we
that-
did.
It did.
But we weren't going to announce it for about another month and a half. We were just finalizing some details. And so when he wore that FU suit on the first tour date, I said to him, after the press conference, the main press conference in front of the entire audience and everyone, when they announced the fight, they have a backstage. They had actually 2 backstage press conferences. One was in a room full of press people, and another one was in a long hallway where all the press corps from around the world lines up all the way down this long hallway, a few hundred yards long.
Is that normal to have 2 like that?
No, I don't think so. I think they wanted to have different venues for question answering and different dynamics, and so they set it up this way. And I had never seen how they had this press corps all the way down a long hallway.
Had
with
you
that,
ever
like
seen any event with that many cameras?
No, it was
I mean, that
out
was
of
a
control.
that was a worldwide thing.
Everybody around the world. They've been talking about it for a year, and so it was with in everyone's conversation for a year. Who's going to win? Who do you think? Oh, boxing. Oh, fighting. Oh, MMA fighting, and back and forth. And so everybody had an opportunity to interview Conor for one question. They walked down, and so I said, "Look, whatever you do, don't announce August McGregor. We're not ready yet." And he said, "Don't worry, I got it." And I'm fixing his tie, getting him all organized, and we're in the line of the press corps line. And he's behind the velvet rope and on the red carpet, and the press people are on the other side facing him, asking him questions. And so the first person, and normally those questions are like, are you prepared for the fight? What are you eating? What's your training schedule? When are you going to knock him out? That type of thing.
Mm.
And so those are the typical questions that these fighters get asked. And so that was a question. Then we went to the next person, and I adjust his tie, get him organized again. And then he's right in front of the guy, and the person says, "Hey, tell me about the suit." And he goes, "This is an August McGregor original. This is my new line with my tailor, David August." And he looks over at me, and I'm standing next to him out of camera view. And I look at him, and I'm like,
Bro.
"What are you doing?" He's like, "Whatever. Yeah, this is the greatest suit. Buy it from us today." That kind of stuff. I'm like, "Oh my God, you're killing me right now." So that's kind of how it got launched.
And roll with it, man.
It was good.
Damn.
Anyway, so we've had so many great times and so many experiences, and we're getting ready to do his new press tour for his Roadhouse movie.
Oh, are you?
So it's a 3-week press tour all over the world. So they start in Houston, Texas, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and they go to New York, London, I believe Toronto, and then back to L.A.
I'm curious, with the whole suit game and the fashion game, how have you seen it evolve over the years? Because I feel like when I see movies or even like news clips from 20 years ago, I'm like, whoa, it just looks such an ancient look, very baggy pants. Everyone had ties on. Now I don't see a lot of ties, a little bit tighter fit. But I'm curious from your perspective. I mean, you dress the world's most famous people over decades and decades. How have you seen it evolve?
Yeah, so you just said you've been watching this for 20 years. You look back at things 20 years ago. And what happens in fashion goes full circle about every 20 years.
You think we'll see the baggy look again?
It is right now. It's coming back right now.
Really?
100%. Yeah, it's coming.
I don't know if I'm going to
not
put baggy
suit-
pants on again.
Everyone says that. By the way, when we used to dress people years ago with all my athletes and stuff, we dressed forever. They wanted big, wide shoulders and a triple pleat with another box pleat next to it. How big can you make the pant? How much fuller can you make the shoulder? I want that thing to be drapey on me, right? And that was, easy to do actually, because there's no alterations for that. That's just drape it on the guy, let him go. Like zoot suits, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then over time, got a little more tailored, and then it went back. And by the way, years ago before that, suits were tailored, no pleats, and that was kind of a very high and tight look. And then it got to this big baggy look, whatever.
Mm.
And then now, over the last several years, it's gotten back. It went to super tailored again, very tailored. So tailored. Look at Conor, how he wears his clothing. He wants it high and tight. And everybody loves that. And it's a really, it can be a very sophisticated look, but you got to be on your game and make sure it fits just right. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So now in the last about a year and a half, it's been easing a little bit. And it starts in Europe and it kind of works its way this way. And people always fight new. And so once we got everybody turned over from pleats to no pleats years ago, that was hard because it was a new thing and they felt like, it's too tailored, it's not comfortable. And once you wear something that's more, that fits you a little better and it's a little more tailored, it's actually more comfortable than an oversized suit because it's cut correctly for you. So we got people into no pleats and more tailored garment. They've got more tailored. And now we're going the other direction. And, people are putting like a one pleat in a garment and it's getting a little bit fuller. It's a much easier delivery, I would say, to clients because it drapes a little bit, but you do still have to cut it correctly. But it's becoming a little bit fuller, not like the zoot suit that we once knew. And I don't think it's ever going to go there. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm never going to go that far again because that was too much. I still want the clothing to look elegant on somebody. And so I don't mind easing the pant a little bit, easing the jacket a little bit, but I still want it to fit correctly.
Well, here's my thing. I'm like, like if I spend some time in the gym working on my body,
show your bod.
like I want to show it off, right? I
That's
want to
it.
look good. I want to show it off. And same thing with a woman. If I'm dating a girl that has a great body and she should show that off. I want to be proud of it. And so these women out there that are wearing this baggy stuff, I'm like, dude, I'm not into it. I don't know if I ever
High-waisted
will.
jeans and
I don't know if I ever will.
Yeah, no.
It's
Fashion. And so I think that if a person that dresses in the current fashion, whatever it is, if they put it together correctly in certain instances, it looks amazing. It looks great. But I still think that everybody should show off, it should be pleasing to your body and should make you look better than you actually look. If you're in great shape, it should accentuate that. And if you're not in such great shape, it should hide those little imperfections that we all have.
Yeah. So why do you say that the fashion always starts in Europe?
Well, fashion's always got to come from Europe, and
Why is that?
it's Paris fashion, Italian fashion. It's older country.
Like when I go to these nice malls, like Fashion Valley is probably the nicest mall here in San Diego. We'll just walk around, but I would say more than 60-70% of all the
European brands.
All European brands. Why is that?
Well, LVMH and all these big conglomerates, they own almost all the major brands, and so they're the ones that put there's not that many high end successful major American designers. You have Ralph Lauren and you have these type of guys are amazing.
I didn't even know Ralph Lauren was American.
Yeah,
Sounds
New York,
European.
baby.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there's obviously great fashion brands from the United States, amazing. But the major brands seem to come from Europe, and they all kind of they put more emphasis on fashion in Europe, and it's always been that way. And so it continually feeds off itself year after year after year.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I'm like, it doesn't come out of Asia, it doesn't come out of Australia.
Asia will try to copy, and they do a pretty good job at copying, but there's not you have Issey Miyake from years ago, and some other fashion brands are great, but again, if you really look at all the major fashion brands that people all try to emulate and copy, it's Europe.
With real estate investing, asset protection and protecting yourself from personal liability is huge. The best way to address this is to correctly set up your LLCs and entity structure. For us at Summers Capital, we use Prime Corporate Services to set up, manage, and provide guidance for all of our entities, making it truly hands-off. If you want to learn more, visit Prime Corporate Services/Rich Summers to book a free call and receive a special podcast listener offer. Again, visit primecorporateservices.com/Rich Summers to book a free call. Now back to the show.
What is the biggest difference between, these fashion brands that are able to charge $5,000 to $10,000 a piece versus the ones that are charging, $500 to $1,000 a piece? Is it really that big of a difference in quality, or is it just all branding and perception to where they can actually charge that much more?
No,
like
I
Louis
think
Vuitton, for example, right?
I think it's a little both. Obviously, they've got huge margins and markups in those in the high fashion brands, but they also have amazing quality. And it's the inner part of the garment that is really the most important. The fabrics are very important, by the way, very important. And you want to have nice fabrics. And the nicer the fabric doesn't mean the better it's going to lay. The nicer the fabric, it could not even perform as well. It could wrinkle and whatever it is because it's lighter weight, or maybe has linen in it or cashmere or whatever. And so that's not going to travel as well or perform as well possibly. So it's not all about the fabric. It's the inside of the fabric. And it's the cut of the fabric, the cut of the pattern. and the actual workmanship that goes into the garment, the hand workmanship. If you do something by hand compared to something by machine is a little stiff and it's not as forgiving. And if you make something by hand, it will, the stitches will loosen where they need to loosen to fit the body and form to the body over time. And that's a much, much, much better garment.
Yeah. I feel like I wear, like, a lot of the jeans that I wear are Armani Exchange. And when I find like the right pair that fits good, I'll go buy it in every single color.
Yeah, exactly.
But one thing I noticed with these Armani jeans is they all fit a little bit differently, even though I'm buying the same size. Does that mean because they're handmade, or what does that mean?
Look, jeans are anything like an off the rack type of like a jean or a chino or whatever for men. Everything is, and women too, but things are all vanity size, first of all. So if you're an actual 34 measured, or let's say you're wearing a 32 jean, if I take your measurements, you're probably more of like a 35.
Really?
Yeah. See, there's exactly what happens. So you don't ever want to say that out loud when you're measuring somebody because they freak. So you always say, so you take the measurement on the waist and say, oh, are you a 32 jean? Yes, I am. Okay, great. So they've noticed that I've noticed that. And then I tell the person that's helping take the measurements, oh, it's a 35 waist.
Wow.
But he's
it's
a
usually a
32
+3 delta.
2.5, 2 to 3 inches. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Absolutely.
I was feeling pretty good at 32.
I know.
My man.
I know. People
come
get there
on.
like, and if you do the opposite and you just announce it out loud, 35.
That's 38.
Hey, wait a second. I'm not 35. And then now you're talking them into why you're telling us. So that's preparing somebody for an emotional situation while they're in a rational state of mind.
Gary
Full
taught you
circle.
that. Yeah.
There you go.
That's so good.
That's why.
So I'm curious, man, 2024, I mean, you've done all this stuff. I mean, very, very successful career thus far.
Thank you.
What's next for you, man? Any projects on the works that you're excited for?
Oh yeah, we're working on several. We're always working on new projects and exciting things. And I love what I do, and I love working with my clients. And like I told you before, my clients are my friends, and my friends are my clients. And so we travel together, we eat dinner together. I really, really enjoy my clients, and I love what I do. And I don't really consider it work. But what I also know that in my business, in the custom hand-tailored business, it's very time consuming, and you only have a certain amount of time to meet with people. And so to grow that business and to grow that brand, you have to supplement it with something a little different than what you're doing, unless you're just raising your price. And even that, you can sometimes price yourself out of the market, and people want value. So I've decided to start a few new lines under my current brand, and they're kind of sub lines. And so we're doing a new shirting business, an entry-level shirting business called DA Core. And so I'm very, very excited about it. It's an entry-level shirting program that is it's much more affordable than our couture garment.
It's still custom fit?
It's 100% handmade, individually cut for each client. Each shirt is individually made. We've taken some of our thicker buttons off of our couture garment. We have the same type of button, but a little thinner button, so a little less expensive. It's a value. It's more of a value proposition for clients that want and new guys that are coming into our ecosystem. And, as you get older, you kind of age out in what you need in business. And even though, they can afford it, it's just that there's not a need as it once was to buy, I need 15 suits. You don't need 15 suits. And I always tell people, I don't think anybody needs 15 suits in their closet. I think that you need 4 or 5 great outfits. And if you buy those outfits properly, you can actually you're not supposed to wear your suit jacket as a sport coat, but if you buy the fabric right and it doesn't look like you're wearing a suit jacket, then you can actually wear that with a pair of jeans and a pair of slacks, and you can mix and match, and you get more bang for your buck. But I still think you can, out of 5 or 6 outfits, you can make 50 outfits if you mix and match correctly. So
that's good.
It's very, that's a big value add right there. But this new program that I've got, that I'm starting, the couple of new ones, especially the shirting program, it's all based around a core, what guys need in their wardrobe, their basics. And, white shirts, blue shirts. And if you see people out in the world, most people wear whites and blues. That's what they wear. And black.
Why is that?
Well, it's easy. I mean, for business, whites and blues, it's easy. It doesn't offend people. It's like a uniform. It kind of goes with everything, and you don't have to think about it. You get up in the morning, you put your white shirt on, or your ice blue, or your powder blue shirt on, put your pants on, put your jacket on. If you're wearing a jacket and you go to work, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
Kind of matches. It's kind of a neutral. And so once you start putting patterns and colors together, you can not offend people like, wow, I'm totally offended with what you're wearing, but they don't get it.
Yeah.
And they think that you're a little bit, it could be too slick possibly.
What is the all black on black look?
We got the
So
memo.
What does that say?
We got the,
What
you
does
know
that say
what?
to folks?
It's another uniform. To me, I love wearing black.
Yeah.
Most of my clients, West Coast clients, they wear black. East Coast clients in the United States wear navies and grays.
What does the black say though? Anything in particular?
Black to me is sleek. It's entertainment driven. It is very, very easy to, I mean, you can just wear black every day and it doesn't stick out. It blends in, but in a very elegant way.
I love that.
Yeah. And you can, by the way, you can wear
I
black.
haven't heard that. I like
You're
that.
wearing a hoodie and jeans.
all
I'm wearing a sport coat, little turtleneck here. And so you can wear it any way you want, but it's still very acceptable.
Yeah, I love that. So anyways, new program, it's whites and you said light blues?
We have 200 fabrics in the original collection, but to me, I think it's all about the whites and blues.
I love that.
And so, and making sure that you have a fresh, there's nothing better in a wardrobe than a crisp white shirt. There's just nothing. You grab it, it's easy, you put it on, it goes with everything, but you want to make sure that those whites are white. And after a while, we all know when you have something in your closet for a period of time, it'll start, getting a little faded or dimming or getting a little kind of almost like a stone look to it instead of a white, crisp white to it. And so I'm all about keeping those fresh, having it affordable, and getting on a program where every season you get 2 whites, 2 blues, a black or whatever, and you refresh those.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, David, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you, my man. It's been an honor. Where can listeners learn more about your clothing line?
DavidAugustinc.com. And then on our Instagram, it's David August Clothing. And so tune in. We've got a lot happening, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course. We'll have to hang out sometime. Maybe with Duane on that boat sometime.
That'd be great. I'd love it.
Let's go. There it is. He's David August. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.